Hey, you there! I want to remind everybody that if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. And right now, YouTube says that over 90% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so it would really help, and with that... Hello everybody, I'm Joel Homie, your guys' host for another great episode of the Joel Homie Show series, Minecraft Monday, where today I'm going to be showing you guys my top 5 ways to actually show age and weathering in your builds, going all the way from builds all the way to being able to actually age the floor. So today's video, I have my top 5 things written down here on a little notebook that I'll go over, and as you can see in my inventory, you can get a little early taste of what we're actually going to be doing today. So I'm going to get right into it with the first way that I like to show weathering when it comes to my builds. So the first thing that I actually like to do is actually use different blocks. This ages all the way from different blocks such as cobblestone and stone, all the way to actually using some of the different sides of certain sort of blocks that aren't even meant to be for builds, such as a furnace. If you actually place this down in the floor and just take a look at the top of it, it gives a very nice texture. And then you have some other things such as stone and cobblestone that you can do lots of different things with, such as slabs and stairs. So if I actually run up to a different part of my base, you can actually see where I did actually utilize this a while ago, but I actually don't do it anymore. So we're going to go ahead and actually run up to a place that I call my mountain lab now. It was formerly known as my mountain base, but I'm actually transforming it into my lab. So here you can see we have a very large platform of just cobblestone. And this is the absolute perfect spot to actually age and use this technique of using stairs and slabs. So I'm going to go ahead and actually show the cobblestone version because I don't have any prominently stone builds out as of the moment that are actually next to me currently. So if I just take out a couple blocks here and there to actually show you this, you can see that if we use things like slabs, it gives the impression that there's actually been chunks taken out of the floor through aging and things like that. And then you can do this all over the place, and you can even make some odd sizes and even some odd formations, and you can give it some very nice sort of looks to your actual builds. But just be warned, if you do decide to do this to a very high standard and use the this technique in a lot of different places and go all out with detail, it can get a little bit confusing as to what blocks to actually take out. The last one that I like to use is actually stone bricks. This is a very good block for showing detail because if you smelt it, you can make cracked bricks, and if you want to use vines, such as I have here, you can actually turn cobblestone and the stone bricks into mossy cobblestone and mossy stone bricks. There's all kinds of things that you can do to actually show age, and I like stone bricks in particular because even when you get cracked stone bricks and the mossy stone bricks, they still show that they were actually stone bricks at one point in time, so they really do show that certain parts of your build might be aging, while other parts you can see what it was like when it was actually new. And then getting this out of the way, let's go ahead and actually take a look at my number 2 way to actually show age. This is use vines and leaves. So you can see here that I have some vines and some leaves. These are great, very great examples for showing age. Like you can see here next to my mountain lab, you can actually see that I have some vines running down. Now, if you actually utilize this with my last tip on using different blocks, you can get some very nice outcomes out of it, as it will show that both of the actual material of your build is actually being exposed to the elements, as well as Mother Nature is actually sort of like taking over. Now, I don't have any good examples of the actual leaf effect anymore because this was my mountain base a while back, as I mentioned earlier. And when it was at my mountain base, I actually had some leaves actually placed like this. And you can see that it gives off sort of like a bush look. Now, do be warned, if you want to actually do this and retrieve your leaves, of course you can't just use your hand and break them because they will just despawn and you can't get them back. You have to use Silk Touch, or what I like to use because it's a lot faster is shears. And then moving to my number 3 way to show weathering and age is actually more or less not actually a tip, but it's actually a way to utilize the last 2 tips. I sort of just said this, but it's actually utilizing these 2 tips together, using the different blocks and using leaves and vines together. As I said, when you put these 2 together, it shows that the actual material that you actually build out of is being exposed to the elements, and it shows that both Mother Nature is taking over, as well as all of the things that you're actually building out of are being broken up and slowly exposed and sort of just torn up generally. And then moving to my number 4 way to show age and weathering is to use cobwebs, fences, and I believe here I actually have chains as well. So these are all very great ones because these are all actually not full blocks, but when you actually use these and give off a very nice effect, like actually using fences to look like it's actually connecting things. So you can see here that if I were to build a purposely sort of old build that's just sort of like falling apart and not really looking like it's completely structured and actually going to support itself, you can use fences to actually make it look like it's being supported, as fences actually connect to the blocks next to them. And as you can see, this sort of weird shape that I've made here actually looks a lot more supported than it did when I actually built it first, when it was actually hovering, as you can see there. And then moving that out of the way, the next thing that I mentioned here is actually to use signs. Now signs, I don't have anything absolutely special to show here, like with the fences being used for something that they're not actually meant to be used for. Like fences are meant to just be placed down as fences, but I showed them how to be used to actually show being supported by sort of like an extra actual sort of force if you're actually building something like an old structure that's purposely built to look old and unsupported. But signs, I want to just use them how they're actually meant to be used. Now, as I said several times in this video already, when this was actually my mountain base right here, and before I converted it to this whole entire door right in white look, I actually had a sign here on the front that just simply said attention, with some stores around it to sort of catch everybody's attention when they see the sign, and it said something along the lines of, attention, do not enter, area unstable. I really like using signs because they really do show sort of like if you were to actually go to a restricted area in real life, and it would have a message sort of similar to that, where it's actually telling you not to go inside of wherever it is actually restricting. And then the last one, as I showed earlier, is actually very strongly related to the 1.16 Nether update here in Minecraft. It's actually utilizing chains. So I actually haven't built anything with chains yet because as of recent dates I haven't been playing Minecraft as much as I used to. So I haven't actually been able to play around and actually build with all of these new blocks yet. But we actually can utilize chains quite a bit with both lanterns and actually doing what I've done here in 1.14. Replacing these actual sort of wood fences, as I showed earlier, actually to use them not for fences, but actually to use them for structure, which as you can actually see here with my little chandelier, you don't always have to actually use them to show age. You can also just use them in other ways, as you can see here where I've connected every different type of block that's made out of different things. Chains is a very detailed way to actually do this. As you can see, if I actually run over here away from the pillagers that are trying to attack me and just attach some chains to the actual ceiling, they give off a very nice look as they would in real life, and you can connect things like lanterns and all sorts of stuff down here. But the last thing that I actually like to show in the not full block sort of ways to show age and weathering is actually scaffolding. This very much relates to what I wanted to get across with using fences to show structure. So if I just build the same sort of weird sort of a shape that I had here just a moment ago, I'll actually go ahead and do the same thing by putting scaffolding right under there. You can see that with its very sort of nice slim look, what I mean by slim is actually the fact that it's not a full block and actually has a very small legs. It actually looks like it's actually supporting it, and it's meant to be supporting it. And the nice part about scaffolding is, of course, if you do run it up a couple blocks and you want to run it out, you can of course run it out 6 blocks before it actually ends up falling. As you can see right there, it will end up to start falling. So getting all this scaffolding out of the way, I'll go ahead and get all this out of the way, and we'll move to my last but definitely not least 5th place way to show weathering and age. So the number 5 thing that I have here is use signs and scaffolding. This is something that I already actually showed, and I just want to very quickly re-mention it because this I actually had written down as its own number because these are very good things to actually utilize on their own. So signs, as I said, is a very good way to show restricted areas, even if you don't want to show age and weathering. As I said, when I just wanted to restrict an area of my old build, I just simply put a sign there that said, attention, do not enter, something bad happened here. And scaffolding is something that actually relates to this as well, because even if you don't want to show age, you can actually sort of use this backwards and actually put scaffolding all the way up in the air, and end up using this as sort of like a way to show that something is actually being constructed. And I really do like this because it really shows a detail both ways, whether you want to show something that's old or you want to show something that's actually being built, such as my mountain lab right there. I hope that this actually helped you guys in some ways to improve your builds, either it be aging and weathering stuff, or it be what I just showed you with the scaffolding, actually showing something that's actually being in the process of being built. So with all that being said, if you guys enjoyed today's video,